The story begins at a mysterious hospital sitting right at the edge of the sea, and the very first thing we see is a young girl named Maddie staring straight into the camera, eyes wide, filled with pure fear, because she's about to go through something no child should ever have to face, a dangerous, life-threatening operation. But as the camera slowly pulls back, we see something that makes your stomach drop. Attached to her back is a child, strange, terrifying, separate from her body, yet somehow still a part of her. And this child's mind, it was no ordinary mind. It was so incredibly powerful, so deeply developed, that it could control everything around it without even touching anything. And in a moment of rage, it could be deadly for anyone nearby. That's why the doctors made the call, restrain Maddie, and surgically remove that thing from her body. But here's where it gets complicated. Both of their minds were so deeply connected that completely separating them was impossible, because doing so would cost Maddie her life. So instead, the doctors did something unthinkable. They took a portion of that child's brain and sewed it directly inside Maddie's skull. And that, right there, is where this nightmare truly begins. Fast forward 20 years, that same little girl has grown into a strikingly beautiful young woman. She's pregnant, she's moved on, she has a life now, but she has absolutely no idea that everything is about to fall apart. When Maddie comes home, she finds her husband laid out on the couch watching a boxing match. Without saying a single word, she picks up the remote and turns off the TV. That's it, that one simple act. And that's all it takes to set him off. He explodes, springs up in a blind rage, and slams Maddie's head straight into the wall, hard. What he doesn't know is that this one moment, this one act of violence is going to be the reason he dies. Maddie stumbles. The impact was worse than she thought, way worse. Ignoring the pain, she drags herself into the bedroom and locks the door behind her. When she finally checks the back of her head, blood is already running down her neck. Her condition is getting worse fast. But what Maddie doesn't know is that something inside her just woke up, and her husband? He's about to pay a very heavy price. Later that night, the husband passes out on the couch, but not for long. A strange sound jolts him awake. He follows the noise into the kitchen and stops dead in his tracks. The blender is running on its own, no one in sight. He stares at it, confused, unsettled. He reaches out, turns it off, and that's when the refrigerator door swings open behind him, by itself. He freezes. His brain is trying to make sense of what's happening. Maybe Maddie is messing with him. Maybe she's trying to scare him back. Maybe then loud crashes erupt from the living room. He rushes in, and what he sees stops him completely cold. A woman in a black gown, sitting on the couch, casually flipping through TV channels like she owns the place. He hits the light switch. She vanishes. He almost convinces himself it was nothing, just his mind playing tricks. But then his eyes drop to the couch cushion, and he watches it slowly rise back up, like someone had just been sitting there 1 second ago. He's still trying to process that when the dark figure reappears, right behind him. The moment her husband screamed, tore through the house. Maddie jolted awake upstairs. Her eyes went straight to the pillow, soaked in blood. She reached back and felt it. The wound was still bleeding. She flew downstairs, and what she found stopped her cold. Her husband, lying there, neck twisted, dead, in the most mysterious, unexplainable way imaginable. And sitting right beside him was that dark figure, hair wild, just watching her, like it had been waiting. Pure terror shot through her veins. She bolted back upstairs, but just as she reached to slam the door, the shadow shoved her with violent force. She went crashing to the floor, out cold before she even hit the ground. Minutes later, neighbors called the police. When the officers walked in and saw the body, even the most experienced ones were shaken. Because here's the thing that made absolutely no sense. There was no sign of forced entry, no broken windows, no kicked-in doors, nothing. The killer had somehow gotten inside without leaving a single trace. The lead detective made his way to the hospital to question Maddie, but she had just lost her baby. She was completely shattered. There was nothing left in her to give. About 2 weeks later, Maddie was discharged and went back home. Almost immediately, the streetlight outside started flickering on its own, and through that dim, unstable light, she saw a figure, all black, slowly walking toward her. The fear hit her like a wall. She sprinted inside, locked every door, shut every window. But while she was doing laundry, she caught a glimpse in the mirror, an unfamiliar woman's face staring back at her, and then the dark shadow lunged forward, grabbed the woman by her hair, and slammed her straight into the ground. And in that same moment, the entire room shifted. Maddie found herself standing inside a completely different house. No explanation, no warning, just there. She watched, helpless, as a figure in black picked up a trophy and brought it down on the woman's head, again and again and again, in a blind, savage rage. And then, just like that, Maddie was back in her own home. Everything looked normal. She almost convinced herself it was a nightmare, but it wasn't. It was real. Police arrived at that scene shortly after, and what they found sent chills through the entire department. Maddie's husband and this woman killed in exactly the same way. Same killer, no question. station. But here's the twist that changed everything. The woman who was murdered, her name was Gwen, the very doctor who had performed Maddie's operation 20 years ago. Inside Gwen's home, police found files of her old patients. That gave the detective his first real lead. The killer might be someone from those files. He took every single one back to the station and went through each case one by one. That night, Maddie went to bed and found a large unknown man lying right beside her. Her body went completely rigid. She couldn't move, couldn't scream. Then, the dark shadow crept out from behind her, slowly crawled over the man, pulled out a large knife, and stabbed him over and over without a single moment of mercy. The second the shadow vanished, Maddie woke up screaming, rattled to her core. Maddie rushed to the police station with her sister and laid everything out for the detective. Nobody believed her. They laughed. They thought she was losing her mind. That's when Maddie's sister stepped up and said flat out, "If nothing we say checks out, go ahead and send us to a psych ward." That got the detective's attention. Within minutes, Maddie tracked the heavy man's address online. He lived in the building right across the street. The detective and Maddie's sister went to check it out together, and sure enough, the man was dead. Exactly as Maddie had described. That was enough. Based on Maddie's description, a sketch was drawn up, and what came out looked less like a person and more like something straight out of a horror film. Maddie's sister started to doubt her again, but Maddie said nothing and quietly walked away. Back at the station, the detective found something very deep in Dr. Glenn's files, a case that made his skin crawl, a patient named Emily. 7 years old, she kept telling doctors she was seeing terrifying things, demons, shadows, creatures that weren't there. Dr. Glenn had teamed up with 2 other doctors to design a special treatment plan for her, and here's the bombshell. Emily had later changed her name. She became Maddie. The detective's eyes went wide. He pulled up old photos of all 3 doctors, and in an instant, it all clicked. 2 of them were already dead, which meant the 3rd one was next. At that exact moment, Maddie was getting ready at home when she caught a glimpse of that 3rd doctor in her mirror, and the next second, she was transported directly into his home. The detective arrived shortly after. He opened the door and found the doctor dead in the bathtub. Maddie was right there, desperately trying to get his attention, but he couldn't see her, couldn't hear her. Then, the creature in black dropped from the ceiling and tackled the detective to the ground before vanishing into the dark. The detective gave chase, followed it deep into an abandoned building. The thing launched itself down from above in a vicious attack, but the detective fought back hard and gained the upper hand. Sensing the tide turning, the creature broke off and disappeared. But now the detective was convinced of one thing: Maddie was connected to all 3 murders. He went straight to her house to find answers. But Maddie had no memory of anything before the age of 8. Not a single thing. With no other option, the detective brought in a psychologist to try hypnosis to pull those buried memories back to the surface. As Maddie drifted into her past, it all came flooding back. Before the surgery, the child attached to the back of her head, she used to call him Gabriel. Gabriel would take over her mind and force her to see terrifying hallucinations, things that didn't exist. But after the surgery, when he was sealed inside her skull, his control disappeared. Until the night her husband slammed her head into the wall. That impact woke Gabriel up. He broke free and used Maddie's body to hunt down and kill the very doctors who had imprisoned him. The detective found the whole thing hard to swallow. He thought Maddie was making it all up, but before he could push further, a woman came crashing down through the ceiling and hit the floor right in front of them. Dead silence. Hidden in the attic of Maddie's own house, a woman had been held captive, and up there with her, the killer's weapons, the killer's clothing, everything. All fingers pointed to Maddie. She was taken into custody immediately. She kept saying over and over, "I didn't do anything. It was Gabriel." Then the detective got an unknown call. As he listened, he realized it was Gabriel himself, confirming he had set Maddie up, but the detective wasn't buying it. He assumed it was all just Maddie's elaborate scheme to play innocent. He had her booked, thrown in a cell. Maddie's sister never stopped believing her, though. She drove straight to the hospital where the original surgery had taken place, desperate for the truth. When she got there, the place was completely abandoned. Not a soul in sight, but she went in anyway, dug through the ruins, and found Maddie's surgical file along with a videotape. She took it all home and watched it, and that's when the real truth hit her like a freight train. Gabriel wasn't just showing Maddie terrifying visions. He was taking complete control of her body, moving her like a puppet, with absolutely no hesitation about killing. That's why the doctors had permanently sealed him inside her skull. It had stripped away almost all of his power. But the night Maddie's husband bashed her head into the wall, the impact cracked something open. Gabriel woke up, and he used Maddie to do his killing. Meanwhile, back in the jail cell, a group of inmates had decided Maddie Maddie was easy prey. They surrounded her, outnumbered her, and started beating her without mercy. She was alone, no way to fight back. But the moment one of them yanked her by the hair, the lights began to flicker. The air turned cold and heavy. Blood seeped into the inmate's hands. Maddie's body started shaking violently. And then, from within, Gabriel forced his way through. His face began to push out from inside her head, and in the blink of an eye, he had taken over completely. The inmates who thought she was helpless, they were about to find out exactly how wrong they were. One by one, Gabriel tore through them with terrifying efficiency. In seconds, every single one of them was down. The cell was soaked in blood, but just as Gabriel was about to finish the last one, a guard heard the chaos and opened fire. Gabriel grabbed one of the inmates as a human shield, absorbed the shots, then turned on the guard and took him down without breaking a stride. By this point, Maddie's sister had already called the detective and told him everything about Gabriel. Then screaming erupted from inside the station. The detective rushed in and froze. Prisoners, guards, bodies everywhere, and Maddie gone. What nobody realized was that she had already smashed her way into the evidence room, armed herself, and was now carving through the station hallway. Gabriel was running the show, moving through officers one by one, sprinting backward, striking without pause, faster and more brutal than anything they had ever trained for. No officer could hold their ground against him for more than a few seconds. The detective burst in, desperately calling out Maddie's name, trying to pull her back, but Maddie was still mentally locked inside that cell. She had no idea what Gabriel was doing with her body, and when she saw the detective raising his weapon at her, she thought he was the threat. In that fear, she gave up fighting back. Gabriel seized the moment, attacked the detective, sent his gun flying. Maddie's sister tried to stop him too, but she couldn't hold him. Gabriel was gone, escaped from the station. The detective understood immediately. Gabriel's next target was the woman who had fallen from Maddie's attic. She was in the hospital, and Gabriel was heading there right now. Maddie's sister had already rushed to the hospital to move the woman to safety, but the officers outside had strict orders. Nobody gets in. She was turned away at the door. Then the corridor lights started flickering. One of the officers grabbed his chest and doubled over. Maddie's sister moved to help him, but the next second his chest erupted, and he collapsed, dead. She ran, barely made it to the room, slammed the door shut, but Gabriel was already there. One thunderous kick, and the door was gone. The moment he stepped inside, he used his power to destroy every electronic device in the room. Maddie's sister was paralyzed with terror. Gabriel drew his knife and moved in for the kill. Maddie was screaming from the inside, desperate to stop him, but her body wasn't hers anymore. That's when the detective burst into the room. He didn't hesitate. 2 shots. Gabriel went down, wounded. He was about to end it right there, but Maddie's sister stepped between them. She couldn't let him kill Gabriel because Gabriel was inside Maddie. Killing him meant killing her. That hesitation cost them everything. Gabriel drove the knife straight into the detective's chest. He crumpled to the floor. Now Maddie's sister was completely alone. She grabbed the gun, but she couldn't pull the trigger. She couldn't shoot Maddie, so instead, she did the only thing she had left. She called out to her over and over, screaming Maddie's name, begging her to come back, but Gabriel had an iron grip on the body. He hurled a hospital bed at Maddie's sister and buried her under it. Maddie could see everything happening, but her body wasn't hers anymore, and Maddie's sister knew that. So even through the pain, even crushed under that bed, she refused to stop. She kept calling out Maddie's name over and over, begging her to come back. And then, something shifted. The moment Maddie heard her sister's voice, everything suddenly became clear. A fire ignited deep inside her. She started fighting back with everything she had, desperately clawing to take back control of her own body. But before she could break through, Gabriel turned the gun on her sister and pulled the trigger. Then he turned to the woman lying on the hospital bed and finished her too. But the moment he did, Maddie's voice began to echo from deep within him. The world around Gabriel started to shift. Something was changing. Maddie was awake, and she was taking back what was hers. Gabriel surfaced and found Maddie's sister still alive. It confused him completely. He hadn't seen it coming. He couldn't understand it. And that's when Maddie made her move. She looked Gabriel dead in the eye and told him the truth. The very power he had used all these years to control her, to puppet her, to make her do his killing, that same power was now coming for him. Maddie seized him with everything she had. She locked him down, and in one final act of pure will, she sealed him inside herself, permanently, forever. The moment it was done, the back of her skull began to close on its own. Gabriel's face, his rage, his terror, faded away, slowly, completely, forever. The room grew still, the chaos dissolved, everything slowly returned to normal, and with that, this incredible story came to its end. Like and subscribe and turn on notifications for more movie recaps.